Okay, good afternoon, Wilma.
Good afternoon.
My name is Emma. I'm going to be taking you through today's training session. This unit is on Foundations of Anatomy and Physiology for Fitness. The session will run for about 30 minutes. Our session objectives today are Our session objectives today are to understand the basic principles of anatomy and physiology within fitness instruction, to identify some credible sources of information for further learning for you, and to develop a basic understanding of how anatomy and physiology impacts exercise selection. So when you're looking at programming exercises for your clients in the gym and for our gym members, this will give you a basic understanding of how to do so. Okay.
Yep.
Just to let you know, just to make you aware that we have toilets just through the hallway here. Our fire exits are behind me and in front, just at the end of the corridor there. Just ensure there's no hazards on the floor, there's no bags or anything like that that may get in the way or be a trip hazard. And just to let you know that you can have a break throughout the session as well. Okay. Feel free to ask me any questions as we go through the session or anything you're not sure about.
Thank you.
All right. And like I mentioned, this session will last about 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, so anatomy and physiology. In order to train clients effectively, reliably and safely, the trainer must understand the structures they are stressing with exercise to produce the functional change that is fitness. Okay, so it's really important that we understand anatomy and physiology and the science behind why we program these exercises for our clients. Okay, so we need to get that understanding. So that's what today's session is going to consist of. We're going to start with some basics, so anatomy basics. So we're going to start with the skeletal system. All right, so the function of the skeletal system is to support the body, okay, so to support the structure of the body. It also gives the body shape, allows for movement, and makes blood cells, provides protection for the organs, okay. You'll also find that the skeletal system can also be called the musculoskeletal system as well, all right. So here is a diagram here you can see, which shows you some of the bones, quite a basic diagram of the bones in the skeletal system here, okay? So you can see we've got our skull, a humerus which sits just here at the upper arm. We've got our ulna, which will be just here, and then we've got our radius. So we have two bones that go along the forearm, and that's our radius and our ulna, okay? The radius will sit on the outside and the ulna will be on the inside of the arm, okay? We've got our pelvis bone, so a big pelvis bone here, the femur, which is a thigh bone, okay? We've got the fibula and the tibula, that's our lower limb, two bones that are made up from the lower limb there, okay? So obviously really important to understand the bones in the body when conducting any type of training with your clients, okay? So we're just going to move on to the next slide now. And the next slide is the muscular system, okay? Another really important system that we need to be aware of, again, when structuring programs and when taking clients through their training. So the muscular system is composed of specialized cells called muscle fibers, okay? Their function is to contract muscles attached to the bones or internal organs, and blood vessels are responsible for movement, all right? So nearly all the movement in the body is a result of muscle contraction, okay? So obviously when we're exercising, we are contracting our muscles as well. So it's important that we know what muscles are in the body, where they're situated, and how they contract, and what their job is. Okay, so here you can see there's a diagram of the muscle groups here. So it's just got some of the main muscle groups. So we have a front picture to start with, which is so it's an anterior view, and that's got our pectoralis, which is just here, sitting just above the breastbone here. We've got our biceps, which is the muscle that sits in the inner part of the upper arm. Okay, we've got our abdominals, which is our core muscles that sit just on our trunk. And we've got our quadriceps, okay, which are our thigh muscles, okay, and our lower limb there. Moving on to the posterior view, we have the trapezius, which sits the upper back, okay. Deltoids, which are our shoulders, all right, so they just sit here where our shoulder bone is. And then we've got our triceps, which are the back of our arms, so they're placed just behind the biceps, okay. We've also got the back of the legs, okay, which are our hamstring muscles. So you can see here we've got, it's pointed to one of those hamstring muscles, and there's actually 3 in total, which is our biceps femoris. And then we've also got our calf muscles as well. So they're made up of 2 different muscles just along the calf. So as you can see, this is a basic diagram of some of the muscles in the body, okay? Now, depending on what type of exercises you're programming or you're taking your client through, or whether the client is looking for certain areas in the body to be programmed for exercise, this is why it's important that you understand where those muscles are in the body and what muscle does what. Okay.
Could I just ask?
Yes.
Can I get access to these diagrams? Will I get a
Yes.
handout?
Yeah, you'll be getting handouts of all of the diagrams. Okay. I'm also going to give you some resources. So you've got your online blackboard that will have all that information on. It will also have this PowerPoint on there as well. So there's lots of online resources for you, and you will get handouts of the muscle groups, skeletal system and the cardiovascular system after today's session. Okay, so you will also have a little bit of homework based on this stuff as well. Okay, moving on now to our cardiovascular system. Okay, so the circulatory system, also known as the cardiovascular system, pumps blood from the heart to the lungs in order to get oxygen. Okay, the heart then sends the oxygenated blood through the arteries and to the rest of the body. Okay, the veins then carry the oxygen poor blood back to the heart to start the process all over again. Okay. So as you can see in this diagram here, we have, you can see in the blue is the blood coming away from the heart, so that's the veins taking it away, and then, bringing it into the heart, and then you've got the red, which is taking it away from the heart, okay? So like we said, the veins are bringing that blood back into the heart, for it to then be circulated again, for that process to start again, okay? And then we've got our arteries that are then transporting it to the rest of the body, all right? Any questions with the cardiovascular system there?
No.
You understand? So obviously got some of the, we've got our arteries and our veins, got the aorta, and so it's showing you some of the arteries and some of the veins there. Again, you will get a diagram of this, and there'll be some homework based on this. Okay. Okay, this now moves us on to our major muscle groups. So I've picked some of the major muscle groups for you to understand when it comes down to programming again for clients and taking clients through exercise. So starting with the upper limb. So the upper limb consists of the deltoid, okay, which are our shoulders, all right. That will perform shoulder abduction, flexion and extension. Our biceps will flex the elbow, okay. So you can see here, that's what our biceps will do. Triceps will extend the forearm, okay, so that's an extension here. Lower limb, okay, so we've got our gluteus maximus, which will externally rotate and extend the hip joint, okay. A sartorius, which will laterally rotate and abduct the thigh, okay, so that will give us that abduction. We've got the quadriceps, so there's 4 muscles together here in the quadriceps, and they will perform knee extension and hip flexion. Okay. We've got a hamstring group, 3 muscles together on the hamstring group, and that will flex the knee, extend the hip joint, and medially rotate the leg at the knee. All right, so it's important we know what the functions are of these different muscles in order to make sure that we are giving the right advice and programming the right exercises. We've got our trunk, so our anterior trunk with our pectoralis that we mentioned in our muscle diagram. Okay, that will control the movement of the arm and will create lateral, vertical and rotational movement. We've got our rectus abdominis, which will pull the ribs and the pelvis in and curves the back, so our core muscles there. And we've got our external obliques, which sit just at the sides, and that will rotate our trunk from side to side. Our posterior trunk consists of our trapezius, okay, which is these muscles here that sit just either side of the spine and behind the neck. Okay, and they will help tilt and turn the head, shrug and steady the shoulders, and also twist the arms, okay. From here you can elevate, depress, rotate, retract the scapula or the shoulder blade, okay. So all these types of movements here is controlled by that trapezius muscle. We've then got our latissimus dorsi, which sits at our in the lower back, okay. So when flexed, the muscles work at extending, abducting and rotating the arm, okay. So the big muscles that go along the lower back and or the mid back, should we say, either side of the spine, okay. They are big. So if you just want to feel for them now, you'll be able to feel where that latissimus dorsi is. It's like big muscles that sit just behind just either side of the spine. So like we said, it's really important to make sure that we're aware of the muscle groups and their function when we are looking at designing exercise programs. Okay. So I'm just going to play you a short video on the muscle groups. Okay, let me play it.
How to get the most of Grammarly free. It's Kayla on behalf of Grammarly to tell you all about the free version.
The skeletal muscle system is ready to contract. It's there when you need to fight and also to react. You have around 640, but there's no need to fear. We'll cover all the main ones from your front to your rear. There's the trapezius muscle from your neck down your back. This muscle has 3 portions, so let us discuss that. Superior, middle, inferior, that is what they're called. And around your shoulders is where they are sprawled. The deltoids top the shoulders, and he splits into 3 anterior, lateral, posterior fibers, as you can see. These muscles help you lift your arms up into the air, so muscles come in pairs like weights that are bench pressed. The pectoralis major lets you move your humerus. The minor muscle lifts your ribs, as you'll know if you are studious. The rhomboids on your upper back let you dance your best. The minor above major, remember for your test. Your lats can be seen behind, always by your side. Of all of your back muscles, these are the most wide. The obliques help you rotate and are found along your sides. Beneath the external, the internal oblique hides. The rectus abdominis, which are often called your abs. Everyone has a six-pack, though sometimes under flab. Glutes are the largest muscles located on your rear. Your glutes will help you to climb stairs without any fear. The three gluteal muscles are maximus, medius, minimus, so make sure when you study that you are not oblivious. The quadriceps has four muscles which help extend your knee. It's found atop the femur, shown here as you can see. Vastus lateralis, intermedius medialis, together with the fourth, called rectus femoris. The hamstrings are leg flexors, and they have three muscles. Biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus. Finally, your calf muscles, the soleus and gastrocnemius, with lateral and medial heads, which find cycling strenuous. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe.
Okay.
You can also support me by following the link to my Patreon.
So that is just a short video for you, just to kind of give you a bit of a fun video, just to kind of give you an idea of where all those muscles are situated, and it will just help you to remember where they are in the body. Okay. So now what I want you to do, Wilma, is I just want you to have a think about, so I'm going to give you a few minutes, just have a think, write down a personal fitness experience and how anatomy and physiology might have influenced that experience, okay? So I'm just going to give you a short moment to have a little think of what has, how that has influenced your so you can just have a little, we'll just pause that for a moment.
Okay, I think I've done that.
Okay, brilliant. So tell me how it's impacted, how you've, any experience, fitness experiences that you've had, how anatomy and physiology has played a part in that.
Right, okay, well, what's that today? I don't know what's got to read it, don't I? But injure.
Okay, so you've had some time to sit and think about how anatomy and physiology has played a part in a fitness experience that you've had.
Yes, well, I was, by understanding the mechanics, especially of the shoulder joint, I was able to modify my overhead press technique to reduce the risk of shoulder impingement. That was, it's quite good. And knowing the primary muscles involved, when I did a squat, it helped me focus on engaging the correct muscles and avoid compensating with other muscle groups.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, yeah,
okay, that's great.
That's how,
okay. So that just kind of shows you how the importance of anatomy and physiology when training, you know, even with yourself and especially with other people, to ensure safety, like you said, injury prevention, okay, and understanding, you know, what muscles are being worked is really important as well. Okay. So then that kind of moves us into anatomy and physiology, and how anatomy impacts exercise, okay? So like we just mentioned before, or what you said with your personal fitness experience, muscle groups and targeted exercises, okay? So having an understanding of anatomy is going to help us understand the primary muscles that are involved for specific movements. You gave an example of that with the squat, okay? So an example here is to strengthen the quadriceps muscles, so those muscles that sit at the front of the leg, okay? We can include squats, lunges and leg extensions, okay? So these exercises are targeting that quadriceps muscle. So having that understanding will then allow you to program the correct exercises to target those muscle groups, okay? And understanding these muscle groups and their recovery needs will help prevent overtraining the same muscle groups and prevent any injuries occurring, okay? The second point here as well is being able to assess the joint mobility and stability allows for the safety of the movements as well. So knowing that range of motion of the joints allows us to select exercises that are appropriate and safe for each individual. Everybody's going to be different, okay? This will then result in preventing any types of injuries because we can then identify any weaknesses or imbalances in that individual. So understanding the anatomy and physiology of an individual and being able to assess that joint mobility again will help us understand what exercises that need to be targeted here and what stretches they need to do as well. So that is why it is super important that we have a good understanding of anatomy and physiology when it comes to exercise.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I've got a little bit of a quiz for you now, Wilma. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a few minutes to answer these questions, okay? So we're just running over what we've done today, so it's to check your understanding. So I'm going to give you a few minutes just to think, have a read over, and then we're going to go through these questions together. Okay, so I'll let you have a look at that and just write down your answers for me.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, write them down. Okay, so we're going to go through the quiz now. So first of all, I've given you a little bit of time to have a look over the quiz. So first of all, why is anatomy and physiology important when it comes to instructing exercise?
Well, I think it's to ensure a safe and effective technique.
Yep, absolutely.
So you use the right muscles that are targeted for the exercise.
For the exercise, yeah, absolutely, good. So can you give me 2 bones in the skeleton that we went over?
The skull and the humerus.
Yeah. And what is the function of the muscular system?
So the muscles contraction.
Yeah,
Contraction.
so contraction of the muscles, yeah. What is the job of the veins in the heart?
The veins bring deoxygenated blood back to the heart.
Yep, so our arteries take it out to the rest of the body when it's oxygenated, the veins bring it back to the heart to then, for that cycle to start again. 2 muscles of the lower limb, okay?
That would be the hamstring and the quad.
Yep, hamstrings and quads. Yep, we've also got our gluteus as well, gluteus maximus there as well. What movement does the external oblique perform? So we've got our muscles, our external obliques here. What is the movement that
The
performs?
rotation of the trunk.
Yep, absolutely. So we get that rotation in. Well done, you've answered all of those questions correctly. Okay, so just to go through the summary now of today's session, okay? What we've gone over today is the importance of anatomy and physiology as a fitness trainer, okay? And the reasons behind why we need that knowledge behind us in order to conduct exercises with clients and program sessions safely, okay? We've also spoken about the basics of anatomy when it comes to the muscular, skeletal and the cardiovascular system. We've gone through major muscle groups and their movements, okay? And we've also gone through how anatomy impacts exercise, okay? And like you had your own experience with your, you know, you said your squats, okay? So that just shows how that having that anatomy knowledge will impact how you train, okay? Okay, this brings us to the end of the session. You do have some homework in for next week. So we'll be going through physiology, the physiology part for next week, okay, and how the physiology will impact exercise. However, this week you'll be completing knowledge questions 1B, and that will be on what we have done today, okay, so just some knowledge questions, and that will be part of your assessment, okay. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to go through before we end
No,
the
I
session?
think that's all. You've explained it really well. I think that's, yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.